Welcome to part 2 of the Evil Within review. In the first part I talked about the story and how I didn't like it. Here we will be talking about other stuff such as gameplay, performance, presentation, etc. Also, if you enjoy my content here, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Chances are I'm going to be more dramatic with this part. Also, I would like to make a minor correction for some reason. I've gotten to more than 5 arguments about The Evil Within 1 and 2. For those of you who continue to prove me wrong and say that the story of the main game and DLC are well explained and well designed and well thought through, you're wrong. You're still wrong, and I still disagree. I won't even talk about the DLCs, aside from maybe the Executioner, because I like the Keeper. I still stand by the fact that more people enjoyed The Evil Within 1 than hated it. Controls are fine for the most part. Simple but fine. You use WASD to move around, B is used to open your inventory, C is to drop matches, escape is to pause. But in short, the controls are severely poor. Mechanics range from okay to bullshit. They all had potential but were executed in the worst ways ever optimized. The sprint system is the prime example of bad choices. Sebastian can run for about 3 seconds before slowing down, and after 2 more seconds he stops completely to catch his breath. That is fucking idiotic. Okay, who thought that was a good idea? Just who? Don't say because he's been drinking. He has not drank anything at all and never does through the whole game. Sebastian is supposed to be a cop in decent physical fitness, like he's muscular and healthy. There's no reason for him to be this bad at running, just as much as there's no reason for him to pass off zombies, teleporting magic safe-headed people, or shifting buildings and earthquakes as normal. Silent Hill Origins did stamina way better than The Evil Within. There's a lot of things you can collect. Matches, tiles for a map in your safe room, range of bullets, grenades, files, Sebastian's journals, etc. First off, the amount of bullets Sebastian can carry is small and enraging. He carries way less than Alex in Silent Hill Homecoming, though that's an exaggeration. There are matches that lit zombies on fire, but we can only carry 5 at a time. This doesn't add to the horror or survival elements, because the matches set everything on fire, an enemy kills the enemies instantly, and the player is put into a wrong mindset to use them repeatedly. Also, why can't you carry more than 5 matches? You can carry a bunch of guns, keys, grenades, syringes, big numbers of brain cells, but 5 matches is somehow too much. This is an example of dumb inventory limits. The matches themselves are overpowered. I'm kind of glad that the sequel removed them. I have mixed feelings for the prices of green shell for new abilities. One thing I'll point out is that the price for the sprint is stupid. The amount of gel you need to buy for the first upgrade is dumb. I think it's around 4,000 or 6,000 to run 1 extra second longer. I'll need to play the game again on New Game only to verify that. The journals are found in rooms with mirrors that lead into your hub. They're supposed to explain Sebastian's tragic backstory, but they're never addressed and Sebastian doesn't comment on them, so this was another stupid way to sympathize with them. There are a lot of traps to watch out for. Disarming them gives you weapon parts. At least in this game you can disarm them in different ways, unlike in RE4, where you had to shoot and waste ammo to disarm them. There are parts for your crossbow to craft bolts. The crafting system is the most shallow system ever to be made. Like, you can make any bolts with just 1 type of scraps. This crafting system doesn't have any place in a survival horror game. There are audio tapes you can listen to, but they're just about Rubik's experiments, and the player might not even know about this because they are shown before the scene where we learn of Rubik's origin, so yeah, that was fucked up too. There are tiles you can collect for a map in your office/safe room. Collect them all, and I think you unlock some new weapons. The other weapons that are unlocked in other ways, which I have not found. I also haven't found all the tiles. There are these orange folders with blood on them, and I explain what happens to the people in them. I didn't read them because I'm not a fan of reading. The only reason I know that's because I looked them up. There is no strategic thinking in the game other than throw your inventory at everything until it dies. The enemy attacks or abilities are inconsistent and range from okay or unfair, such as being able to throw endless dynamite, using tentacles with claws to one-hit kill you from far away, to having protective masks that are bulletproof, to carrying similar weapons in general, or getting into these animations where they get cheap or free hits on you. I dislike the idea of enemies that one-hit kill you, and I think it's a stupid way to add challenge and makes it frustrating than fun. Also, when you use to aim your gun, there's some slight bobbing that makes it hard to land your shots. This is a small problem, but there are times where I swore I had the reticle on the zombie, but it did not kill it. Or by that I mean, like, I had the reticle directly on the zombie, but I think my bullets would just go through it. It's not that severe, but I thought I'd mention it. I don't really have much to say about the gameplay other than Sebastian's animations tend to be slow and sloppy. He controls alright, but the enemies are not well thought out and just part of the game's frustrating difficulty. Stealth in the game is weak at best and underwhelming at worst. All you do is crouch slowly and stab monsters. That's it. There's no upgrades for stealth, and honestly you'll rarely use it most of the time. There are statues you could break to obtain keys with them to unlock vaults in your hub. You can receive ammo, gel, bolts, and additional keys. These are fine additions. The hiding spots for them are alright. What really shatters the immersion is where some animals can carry the statues on their backs. One of the dumbest examples where you open a locker and a crow flies around carrying a statue on it. It was hard to shoot because it also clipped through the wall and roof. To those who say the plot of the first game is logical and the second game is nonsensical, does this part explain or anything or prove my point? Also, how exactly do animals survive in these kinds of labs or these tunnels? Well, I can understand rats maybe, but crows? Hell no. Graphically, the game looks great. Levels are stylized, detailed, green, and visual effects are superb. All levels look great and definitely stick out, though the color scheme looks a bit bland in some places. Like most of it is gray and it's shown 75% of the levels. In terms of the design of the levels, this is where it gets frustrating. The level design feels a bit artificial and just really makes no sense, and sometimes some levels can be cut out completely and the game would either be better or the same. Despite the stylized graphics and areas, they all look overdone in some way. The transitioning to the areas are done stupidly and since the game takes too much of its visual effects, the story progression is affected by it. Not only that, but the special effects for the cameras are so flashy and in your face and bright, it's practically blinding and it gets annoying. There are also texture problems that are pretty noticeable, though that's probably the fault of the game's engine, so I don't think I'll go that deep. I have mixed feelings over the monster designs. They're alright. Their symbolism is great and everything, but I can't help but make comparisons to previous monsters in other games. I played Resident Evil 4 and beaten it, and I realized that that the monsters in the Evil Within are taken from that game or others. In short, the monster designs range from okay to underwhelming. The zombies aren't that interesting. I've been into zombies before when I was obsessed with Minecraft, and I've seen other zombie designs. There's not that much creativity aside from maybe Alter Ego or Invisible Zombies. Forbidden Sirens, Shibitos have more variety. I do think Centennial the Wolf is cool since I like dogs, and the Amalgam Alpha is fine too. I really do enjoy amalgamations of monsters like the fan-made FNAF animatronics or some of the SCP monsters. Trauma looks fine for the most part. Zen and Nuan are meh considering the fact that they are copies from Resident Evil 4's ogres, El Gigante. Doppelganger is just a dude who has darkness for a face with a slight resemblance to Entity 303. The babies aren't that inspired. Hershey looks cool but also goofy, at the same time being one of those failed test subject monsters. Quill is just a tentacle monster who can turn invisible, so nothing special there. Laura and Keeper are the best out of all. Their design while being from other sources are put to good use, and they are cool to look at. Keeper especially, while looking like a Pyramid Head clone, looks great with his teleporting save head trick. Though I personally think Silent Hill Homecoming's bosses are cooler mainly because their designs are more original to an extent, and because there's strategy within most of them. The sadist is the most underwhelming. He's just a guy with a chainsaw with his head in a cage. It looks too generic. Silent Hill Origins Butcher is more inspired than the sadist. Not because it's a Pyramid Head clone. You guys can stop complaining about it. I won't talk about Shade or Cadaver because I haven't played the Assignment or the Consequence DLC, mainly because I saw reviews of them and I really do not want to go through what's in store for any of those. For those of you who might ask, no, I will not review them or talk about them. They don't solve anything, nor will I buy them. I'm not wasting my time or money with them. In terms of performance, the game can be somewhat laggy. Frame rates might drop a little bit, but nothing too severe, though that depends on your computer, whether it's old or new. The game's performance might be better or worse. The animations for the characters are alright for the most part, though Sebastian's startle animation is reused a bunch of times, and that doesn't work for some scenarios. Facial animations are kind of meh, like they're stiff in some areas, and it looks like only the eyeballs and eyelids and mouth seem to move. Joseph's animation and face articulations are alright. Julie Kidman's animations are somewhere between Joseph and Sebastian's facial animations. I don't know, but some face models some face models look dusty and grayish. I don't know exactly, but that's the best way I can describe them as. There's a model viewer, which is actually great. I love looking through the models and seeing the info for them. I wish other games had this feature. This is something I need to mention. The segments in The Evil Within range from alright to meh to stupid to annoying. There are so many segments that can be cut out and the game just seemingly gets worse as time goes on. In the second level or chapter, there was this huge amount of zombies where I died so many times. I didn't know what I was supposed to do, and for some reason I think it was because of the depth of field, which I think is the reason I couldn't find a bridge that led next to the next part. I tried running away, but the stamina ran out so fast that I died so many times doing so. Also, most arenas can be cut out and the game would be better. To anyone who says Sebastian is able to run for 3 seconds because he was either smoking or drinking, there are chase scenes where the stamina meter doesn't apply at all, and Sebastian can run longer than 3 seconds. Don't make excuses, guys. I don't understand what the hell is going on. The voice acting is not the best. Sebastian is emotionless, like mentioned before. He seems to complain with slight anger in his voice, and I dislike it. Thankfully, the sequel fixed this. Didn't the voice actors know what they were doing? Because I don't think they understood the situations the characters were in. Don't bother defending the voice acting. It's not good, aside from some decent performances from Joseph and Kidman. Leslie is alright, though the parts where he yells are cheesy and it just makes me ask myself why he was made to say shit like this. His backstory is tragic, and to an extent, and yeah, I do agree. I can understand the reason why he acts like this, but I feel like the potential here was handled weirdly. The final segment is just stupid. It's just more garbled gameplay with one-hit kills that infuriate the hell out of me. I haven't played Silent Hill Downpour, but from gameplays on YouTube, its final boss where you play as the boogeyman looks cool, and it's more meaningful than the final boss fights in The Evil Within. Siren Blood Curse also has a better boss fight. The psychological aspect feels non-existent, to be honest. Silent Hill Shattered Memories does a better job at psychological horror than The Evil Within, though the game isn't a survival horror still. The safe room is poorly used as well, and is more of a crux. Silent Hill 4 does better at its safe room mechanic. There are parts where there's forced walking and the game's effects can be blinding as previously mentioned. Here is where I'll reply to other people who like the game and say I'm wrong, but honestly I find people who say the second game sucks because it's cliche and nonsensical and lazy. My reply is, you're all hypocrites to say those. I understand everyone has opinions, but I cannot deal with the criticisms for The Evil Within 2 and the praises for The Evil Within 1. Now let's get into the arguments. I'll also be defending The Evil Within 2 in these cases. The Evil Within 1's atmosphere and transitions give you the impression that you're going insane. How? The mechanics are inconsistent, the difficulty sucks, and the atmosphere isn't even there for 95% because of the overpowered weapons you're given. The transitions are lazily done, and the worst transitions in any game, and the amount of times I died made me groan in boredom because the story never went forward and I didn't know where I was even supposed to go, or I didn't know, but I don't know what was supposed to happen after that because I'm going insane, but not out of fear, panic, or anxiety, but out of boredom, frustration, and annoyance. In The Evil Within 2, Sebastian acts just the same as he does in the first. Fuck off. No, he doesn't. There are scenes where there's true emotion in his voice. The beginning segment, or the very first fucking cutscene, is the prime example. He was acting somewhat pissy in the first game, and you're not complaining about that. There's no reason for him to act all pissy in The Evil Within 2. Really? Let's see. They burned down his house, kidnapped Lily and his daughter, injured and kidnapped Myra, brainwashed her into thinking her dad was dead, possibly traumatizing her, used her as the core for the new stem with 2 other dangerous psychopaths who have caught a conscious influence. Let her be in the heads of other Mobius workers who seem to not care and abandon their comrades and kill innocent people. There is a reason for Sebastian to be angry at everyone. The mechanics are clever in their strategy and the gameplay. Sebastian runs for 3 seconds and can only hold 5 matches at a time, and gets a crossbow that shoots bombs, fire, etc. He also gets a shotgun. There's no clever mechanics whatsoever. They all are lazily put or not implemented on. The only effective thing is just shooting everything with all your inventory until it's dead. This isn't a survival horror game, it's an action horror game, and it's not a good one either. The story is well written and dark and twisted. To some extent, yes, but most of the story is confusing, boring, slow, padded, filler, and the events are horribly written. There's no character development, the events are just ramblings, and there are so many plot holes, it's just a complete mess. The characters are cliche, underdeveloped, insufferable. There are story elements and there's even story elements which could be removed and nothing would happen or change. Overall, the game is a mess of plot holes, inconsistencies, sloggy movements, semi-broken mechanics, bad game ideas / choices, shallow, lifeless, unrealistic cliche characters, mishmashed order of levels and mechanics, impossible references, broken plot, irrelevant stealth, dumb inventory limits, bad enemy designs, wrecked garbage difficulty, too many arenas, irrelevant content, blinding effects, reliance on its stupid transitions, too much into showing off areas that lack relevance. The list goes on. I really do not recommend this game. It's bad. I kind of hate it. I prefer the second game over this pile of trash anytime. However, with my bias aside, a part of me can't help but somehow have passion for this game. Part of me thinks that there is a great game in there. It is unique to an extent. Some of the story elements have potential, and I think it would have done great, but the execution was sort of terrible, but not irredeemable. Honestly, I'm mostly torn in half in this game, despite hating it. The Evil Within 1 is not the worst game ever made, but I really can't get into it as much as everyone else. I cannot understand why people love this game. I really cannot. Screw this game. I don't think Shinji Mikami is as good as people say he is. I haven't played any of his games aside from Resident Evil 4, and I have some semi-major problems with RE4. If you disagree with me, that's fine, but I'm honestly not going to care at this point. The only reason I play it now is because I'm bored. I hope you understand why I dislike this game. My last review will probably be about the 3rd DLC for The Evil Within, The Executioner, because it's more fun than the main game itself. And no, I will not get the assignment or the consequence because there's no way I'm going to go through the shit they have to shove down my throat. With all that said, I hope you enjoyed watching this review and rant. If you like what I'm doing, don't forget to subscribe. You can also check me out on Instagram and Twitter. I also have a Patreon account, so if you want to donate, feel free to do so. Thank you for watching.